Malcolm Baird. It's his responsibility to make sure that it's his fault. It's such an old joke, isn't it? And he knew it was coming. That's Malcolm Baird. Okay, so let's meet someone else. Let's bring someone else on. So, up till recently, she presented the early breakfast show and read the weather on Julian's show. More recently, you may well have seen her present the weather on South Today with Sally on an evening. Put your hands together, please, and welcome to the stage, Sam Fraser! Next, we bring on someone who is married to a Doctor Who Cyberman. I think you know who I mean. Sadly, he's not here today because she forgot to put him on charge last night. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Emily Hudson. Okay, so back in the office now, Pat Sissons is presenting the early breakfast show. He is live until about 7:04. We go live from here. 7:04 we go. Let's meet someone else. He is a cricketing superstar.
He told you that.
He's also a sports reading superstar. And he's the man who said to me, "Can you show me where the Mayflower is, please?" I had to show him the route from our office, it's over there, to here. The one and only, put your hands together, Kevin James! Okay, so, she knows everything about the M27, 271, the 275, the A31, the A35, most A roads, B roads, and a few C roads. In actual fact, I think she's the queen of traffic and travel across the south. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Her Royal Highness, Julie Goodley! We very rarely let her out of Hampshire traffic control in Winchester, so it's a bit scary for her. So, okay, so finally, let's meet the man whose 20-year commitment and passion for not only educating and informing us, but also entertaining us, means, as far as I am concerned, he is a radio legend. Please put your hands together and make a lot of noise for Julian Clegg!
Good morning. So Baltimore says to me we need to check the levels, so should we do that again? Good morning.
Good morning.
Pretty good. So I know people have stayed overnight because I was listening to Pat earlier and someone texted to say they were in a hotel overnight, which is extraordinary. Thank you very much indeed. People come from the Isle of Wight, they've travelled from quite a way as well. And as one man I just met in reception at the foyer said, I've come from just around the corner. So wherever you come from, thank you very much indeed for this. This is a first for me to stand on the stage at 10 to 7, or actually 4 minutes to 7. There's the clock, which I better keep an eye on. It's a completely unique experience. I want to just mention and introduce everybody because they've kind of waved, but let's just say hello to a few of them. So, and we're doing an order. Malcolm, the engineer, has been here, I think, all night with Chris, who you've just met. I want to thank them both for their hard work. Morning, Malcolm.
Good morning.
What's this involved?
Tremendous amount of work. Packing, unloading, and cabling through the night.
Yeah, it's brilliant, Malcolm. Give them a round of applause. And we want to thank the cast for the commitments who are on stage in the evenings, who have allowed us to be on their set this morning, so I think we should give them a round of applause. So we're here already working on the sport. I love the fact he's writing things out. It's very efficient.
Morning, how are you?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, you know it.
It's a bit different, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? You have to keep the time as well.
So is this your first on a stage doing something like this?
It is, yeah. I was here for the Panto just before Christmas, and to actually think that I've been in the same bit where Shane Bridges been standing is quite awesome. Yeah, good fun. It's nice to be this side.
Yeah, and we're going to go down and meet the audience a little bit later in the show as well.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Kev, thank you. Kevin James, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the last time I was here in this theatre, I was watching Blood Brothers. I very rarely get to go to the theatre because Karen and I are in bed by 8 in the evening, so the theatre experience is unusual. But when I walked in this morning to the theatre, who should be singing for a song from Blood Brothers but Emily Hudson? Emily, good morning.
Morning. I just felt like it was actually a bit of Barbara Dixon. It was nothing so good it lasts eternally. So I can now say that I have sung on the Mayflower stage. Now I've done it, that's it, I can go home now.
Right, Emily, good to see you. Emily's going to be bringing us the news. Chris is the producer today. He's introduced me, I'm going to introduce him. So this is Chris Harris. Chris, thank you very much indeed. Again, up all night. Give him a round of applause. You've organised everything, right? T-shirts with my name on it, which is a first. Thank you very much indeed. Tablecloths that have our names and titles and everything. What's it been like?
It's been brilliant, Jules. It's been so exciting. I had this idea that we'd do this. I didn't think it would happen. We're here. I'm so proud.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's his idea. I came back to New Year and said, Jules, I've had an idea. What do you think? And I sat there and went, do you know, I like the idea so much, I gave him a hug. Sorry. Judy's ready for the travel. Judy, what's the time now? We're all right. We're okay, because Alan's going to do the news at 7. So Judy, good morning. Judy Goodlitz.
It's you, Julian. I vaguely recognise you.
We spent most of our years together. How many years is it now?
It's about 17.
Yeah. Judy's always been somewhere else. She was at the road management system for Europe.
For Europe at Tampi, and I'm locked away with Mark was here actually.
Yeah.
From Winchester Romance. And this was my Christmas present from my husband Peter, who is also here somewhere. So fancy.
Peter, I always call Judy the Queen of Travel, so Peter gave Judy a tiara. I think you should wear it today. But let's just try it. You know, we'll do it on air later. Oh, that's. Oh, yes, I suppose I should have done. Doesn't that look good? So we'll do that on air later. Judy, thank you so much. Judy Goodlin. And look who's here. Sam Fraser. How long did you do that?
Well, it's about 3 years or so.
Yeah, so you got up even earlier than me. What time was that?
I used to get up at 3:15, but I'm really enjoying not doing that. But Jules, I was thinking we found ourselves in lots of extraordinary positions that were positions.
It's not on air, is it?
I was thinking, you know, we've shared shower cabins.
Oh, yes, we have.
And I've seen you in your Dennis the Menace trunks.
We did a show from a hot tub. That was quite interesting, wasn't it? They didn't warn us either.
Complete with builders in the car park. No, so this is quite civilised.
It is, isn't it? It's lovely. Sam's lovely to see you. Sam's got the weather through the show. Round of applause for Sam Fraser. Okay, now we're going to get ready for the show. Obviously, parts of the show are as is, like the news which we're about to bring up, and other parts will be slightly different. Either way, have a great morning. Thank you.
Hopes of becoming a bridge or icebreaker between the EU and the USA won't be easily fulfilled either.
Mosques here in the south are preparing to welcome non-Muslims this weekend. The Visit My Mosque event comes amid US President Trump's travel ban on 7 mainly Muslim countries. The Muslim Council of Great Britain says the ban has created a poisonous atmosphere. Former Chief Officer of Dorset Race Equality Forum, Adnan Chowdhury, says Donald Trump's anti-Muslim rhetoric was damaging relations even before his executive order came into force.
It's already created before that an environment of fear amongst Muslims who want to go to the United States and not just from the United Kingdom but from other parts of the world as well. And so it's likely that it has and will continue to have an impact on community relations.
Gosport sailor Alex Thompson has told the BBC he's slowly recovering after competing in the gruelling...
Good morning, Mayflower Theatre. It's Pat in the studio. We are live with you in 2 minutes. Live with you in 2 minutes. Have a great show.
Nicknamed the Everest of the Seas back in November, and he spent 74 days at sea. Alex came second after challenging for first place and breaking the race record for the furthest distance travelled in 24 hours. He told the BBC being alone on the sea for 3 months with a damaged boat was a real mental challenge.
This race was hard because having lost my wing and my hydrofoil and being so much slower on one side, which was a real difficulty to get over it. I really learned how to remain positive, how to be positive. The goal was to win the race, but when it feels like you can't win the race, how can you be positive? So it meant I just had to change my goals, and the goal was then to be second or to finish, and so my goals would just get reduced, and I think this is something that's going to help me for the rest of my life.
We're being warned to expect gales across the south later. Inland areas could see gusts of up to 50 miles per hour.
1 minute, Mayflower Theatre, you're live in 1 minute. And a happy anniversary, Julian.
Travel disruption is possible and trees could be brought down. A chronic shortage of doctors here in the south is forcing many GPs to keep working past the age of retirement. Figures from NHS Digital show that more than 180 of the south's GPs are working past the age of 60. Supermarkets across the UK have started rationing some vegetables and salads because supplies have been disrupted by bad weather in southern Europe. Britain imports around half of its vegetables and 90% of its fruit. Our reporter Nick Qureshi has the details.
For weeks, supermarkets have been struggling to source certain vegetables such as courgettes, broccoli and spinach because of the continental cold snap. The problem has now spread to salad, with Tesco saying it has availability issues with iceberg lettuces. So much so that it's asking customers to buy no more than 3 lettuces in its stores. Some supermarkets have put up prices, while wholesalers are now turning to the US to import produce at increased air freight costs. The Spanish Exporter Federation, FEPEX, is warning that leafy vegetables will be in short supply for the next 2 months at least.
BBC Radio Solent News, it's 4 minutes past 7.
Thank you, Alan, and a very good morning from the Mayflower in Southampton. Let's have a big round of applause from the audience. Very early in the theatre today, fantastic to see the crowds outside, and they're all here, and we're going to be talking to some of them as the show goes on this morning. Let's have a look at the weather. Alan, thank you for the news, by the way. A bright start, but the winds will strengthen through the morning. During the afternoon, the cloud will thicken, outbreaks of rain could start to push on in across the south. Later, top temperature 9 Celsius. So it looks like Storm Doris isn't going to be quite as bad as they thought. Tonight, blustery rain continuing through the evening. Temperatures down to 2 Celsius at a risk of gales. Saturday, off to a dry, bright start, so I will be walking Teddy with Karen tomorrow. The sunshine will become hazy through the morning with some thicker cloud and rain possible in places. Top temperature for tomorrow, 8 Celsius, and Sunday, after perhaps a frosty and foggy start on Sunday, it'll be dry and sunny. And of course, Sam Fraser, who's with me on stage today, will be bringing you the weather in around about 25 minutes' time.
Live from the Mayflower Theatre in Southampton, Julian Clegg's 20th anniversary show.
BBC Radio Solent.
So, a very good morning, welcome to the show, and it's a live show on stage at the Mayflower. I want to thank the team at the Mayflower here, Michael Otwell, the boss, and all the gang who are here early doors to get this show on air, and to thank producer Chris and engineer Malcolm, who've been up all night rigging the theatre. Let's give them a round of applause. We're going to do this as live, we're going to be doing the stories of the day, we're going to be meeting some special guests, we've got live music coming up later with a choir joining us on stage and other things besides which I may or may not know about, so we're looking forward to that, and I will be meandering and wandering amongst you as the show goes on as well. Now let's come back to some of the main stories this morning, and doctors in the south say the chronic shortage of GPs has reached crisis points and more practices are in real danger of closing. Vacancies can't be filled because there aren't enough newly qualified doctors, and those there are refuse to take on the stress of permanent jobs when they can earn more money working less hours as temporary locums. As a result, patients are facing long waits for appointments, and Joe Palmer joins me on stage this morning with more on this story. Joe, good to see you. So this apparent crisis in recruitment is forcing many doctors in the south to work well into retirement.
They are. So figures from the NHS show that more than 180 of the region's GPs are still working past the age of 60. Now, the vast majority of them, 122, are GP partners who can't actually find anyone to take over their practices. Now, in Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, there are 54 GPs who should have already retired, and another 105 who are due to retire in the next 3 years. In Dorset, 21 GPs should have retired, another 95 are due to retire again over the next 3 years. Now, Dr. Chowki Cardi retired 4 years ago, but he's still actually working 12 hours a day at his practice. Why? Because he can't find anyone to replace him or his soon-to-retire partner.
We are concerned that if I decide to go, or if Dr. Gore decides to go, the practice will fall, and I don't want that. I think in Bracknell, approximately 25% of my colleagues are coming to retirement, or already retirement age, and I think if they decide to retire completely, it will be a serious crisis to the NHS.
Now, Joe, there's evidence that GP practices are now becoming unmanageable. What do we know?
There is. Of course, there's been many headlines about this being whinging GPs and their long hours, but actually, Professor Richard Hobbs of Primary Care Health Services at the University of Oxford says otherwise.
They are well-paid parts of society, but it is a very demanding, it's a very rewarding, but it's also a very stressful job. And the demands of general practice have become much more dramatically defined. In fact, there's been a 16% rise in consultations over the last 7 years. Consultations have also had to get longer, so there's objective evidence to back up the perceptions that GPs feel under a lot of pressure.
And there's a huge government-backed recruitment drive underway, but the reality is it seems that few young doctors feel that they can cope with the workload and the responsibility, so they're opting out and going for temporary locum shifts. Now, Dr. Cardi says he's being forced to pay difficult to find locums as much as £100 an hour to cover those gaps.
Now, what does the government have to say about this?
Well, the Department of Health have told us that they want to make sure patients can get the right care at the right time from well-resourced GPs. They say they've invested £2.4 billion in a bid to try and help cut red tape and pay some of those high insurance costs that GPs have to do. They've also said that 17 million patients have already benefited from being able to book appointments outside of that 9 to 5 working day, and that they are also seeing more future GPs in training at the moment than ever before. But still, GPs like Dr. Cardi say they've got no idea when they're actually going to be able to retire.
As it stands, we cannot keep up with the workload. So what is going to be like in 1 year or 2 years from now? I was planning to leave fairly soon, but obviously I can't.
There you are, that was Dr. Chowki Cardi, ending that report by Joe Palmer. Joe, thank you very much indeed for that. So good morning, welcome along. It's 11 minutes past 7. You're just joining us on the airways. Good morning from me, Julian Clegg. We are live at the Mayflower for a special show. It's 20 years today that I started doing this show, so whether you've been listening for all 20 years or you've just joined us for the first time this morning, thank you very much indeed. Lovely to have you here. Now, let's meet some of the team, and I'm going to say hello to, they're all lined up here on stage. Let me set the scene if you're just tuning in. We're on stage, we've all got our little tables here with our own tablecloths. Excuse me. So there's a Julian Clegg tablecloth. I've never had a tablecloth with my name on it before, so I'm very thrilled. There's a weather tablecloth, a travel tablecloth, a news, a sports, and an engineer tablecloth. So first of all, let's say hello, give a big round of applause, please, to Judy Goodlett. Lovely to see you.
It's lovely to see anybody.
Exactly, we don't normally meet, do we? That's the first thing we
No,
say.
no, I've always done travel remotely. Never ever been near anybody. Years before I even met my colleagues.
Yeah. So normally Judy's been at the road management system for Europe for many years, and then more recently at traffic control. In fact, one of your colleagues is with us today, isn't
I believe that. I actually can't see Mark. Give us a wave.
Yeah, so we can,
Where's
wherever you
Mark?
are, Mark, we shall come and find you a little bit later on, because he can give us an update on travel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Judy, we want to know, how's it going to work this morning on stage? So Judy wants to know this.
Well, fortunately, thank goodness, the Wi-Fi is working. So I've got access to all the things that I would usually look at, the speed sensors, the Highways England site, anything that says anything about traffic. As usual, there's something I don't quite believe, so we might need to ask for a call. The calls are being diverted, they will be picked. So
So 0345 30 40 961 is happening. You'll be speaking to someone. So Judy with the travel coming up shortly. Also with us this morning on stage, Emily Hudson is here with the news. Emily, lovely to have you there.
Good morning.
Good morning. So tell me, big round.
Anything I say never gets clapped because I always bring the really miserable stuff. So at least I get a chance to feel some love. Actually, it's pretty much as it would be in the office. I'm having a slightly easier day because obviously I didn't have to read the 5:30 headlines, which is usually my first one of the day. They're usually quite rubbish. I wouldn't usually tune into them because I only get them at 5 and go, don't tell me what I said that.
Secret's out there.
Yeah, secret's out. But actually I've had quite a nice time sort of, being able to have a cup of tea and, have quite a relaxed start to the day. I have got access to everything I would normally have access to. And normally, the most difficult part of my job is clipping your guests because Julian speaks to counsellors or people who come on and tell us their newsmaker stories, and I then go back in and chop bits out of them in order to replay them throughout the morning. So if you're clever, you'll be listening to the interview and thinking, that's the interesting bit they said. I bet Emily clips that bit. Well, this morning I can't physically do that. No. So there's somebody else who's having to do that bit back at the office.
Right, well, Emily, lovely to see you. Emily Hudson, ladies and gentlemen. And let's hello to a man I've been working with for many years. Yes, he's on the sports desk. I'm delighted to say, Kevin James.
Two things about Emily, actually. Yeah. First of all, here we go. She's made a real effort with her hair.
More effort than I have.
And the other thing as well is, when you say you're having an easier day, I've seen you have one of the easiest days ever. Just before Christmas, you wrapped up your children's Christmas presents in between the news bulletins.
I never knew that.
It was the 23rd of December. Nothing was happening. And I'm not being funny. I had certain presents that I had to wrap out of sight's eye. And they
so why not do it at work, Emily?
So I did it. Thanks a lot, Kev.
What friends are for. It's a great song. So, Kev, we've been working together how many years now?
Too many. I think I've done about 17.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. That's amazing. So, have you enjoyed it?
You don't look any different.
Neither do you. Have you enjoyed it?
Yes. I had to look at my script then for a minute.
Yes,
very much so.
Well, Kev, good to see you. We'll have the sports very shortly. And look, on weather today, back for a special deal, I'm delighted to say, presented the early breakfast show for over 3 years. You see her on Saturday doing the weather as well these days as well, Sam Fraser.
Morning, George.
So, are you missing getting up even earlier than I do? It's something like 3:30.
I'm not missing getting up, but just thinking about how our days usually go on this show, what I do miss is the calls from the listeners, of course, because while you're doing this bit, I'm generally having a bit of a chat. All our regular listeners, Ivor in Timsbury, Derek in Winchester, Ruth in Hyde, Barbara in Mudford, I think she's in.
Yeah, hi Barbara, wherever you are. Oh look, she's down there, she's in row 2. Hello Barbara. I'll come down and see you.
I usually have a very sociable morning, chatting away, and I really missed that bit.
Well look Sam, we want the weather in full, 7:30. Thank you for keeping the Storm Doris away from us this morning.
Well, I don't think we're calling it Storm.
Oh, is it really? Has she been downgraded? What is she now?
Doris is downgraded. Some strong winds. She's very windy.
Windy Doris, details to come at 7:30. And of course our chief engineer today, Malcolm, is over there. Say a big hello to Malcolm Baird. Are you able to talk? Have you got to... Oh, yes, he's listening. Yeah. That's good. So what's it been like getting this all together this morning?
You could say that was a bit of silence there, but...
You've been up all night, haven't you?
Yes, we have. We started at just after 10 last night, through to 1:15. Then we went back to base for maybe an hour or so, got back here at 3:30, and then carried on. Right through to...
I want to thank the man whose idea it was to do this, who called me into the office just after Christmas on January the 3rd. I remember it very clearly. He said, "Jules, I've had an idea." Yes, the man producing the show today, Chris Harris. This is an ambitious concept you've had. It's well done for getting it on the stage.
It's the first time I think that actually we've got everyone on stage. You know, sometimes you get a presenter on stage, but you don't tend to get the sort of backroom team, do you really? The news, the travel, the weather, the sport. We've done it. We're all here. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Give him a round of applause. 7, welcome along, and if you're just tuning in this morning, thank you. By the way, I have got access to your texts and emails, so I'm already getting those at the moment. I've had some lovely emails from you overnight, including a couple of apologies who couldn't make it this morning. I'll go through those a little later too, and we will obviously be doing the secret sound slightly differently later on. Let's get our headphones though right now. So, as we've been hearing in the last few minutes, BBC Radio Solent, by the way, good morning from me, Julian Clegg. A chronic shortage of doctors in the south is forcing many GPs to keep working past the age of retirement, according to figures from the NHS. And supermarkets across the UK have started rationing some vegetables and salads because supplies have been disrupted by bad weather in southern Europe. In sport with Kev shortly, Southampton defender Jack Stevens has told us he'll do his best to fill the shoes of more experienced players. And our weather headline, a sunny start with strong winds, rain arriving later, top temperature 9 Celsius.
BBC Radio Solent.
So let's out onto the roads and find out how we're doing, and indeed keeping an eye on public transport. Here she is, Judy Gillett.
Well, we're starting with a couple of problems, or possibly two. We've got an accident on the M27 westbound, so between Sedgensworth Junction Line, Hedge End at Junction 7, you will find that there's a delay of about 30 minutes at the moment. And the A31, now this is what I'm not too sure about. It was definitely closed southbound between Chorlton, just south of Bolton, and Four Marks because of an accident earlier. I've got a feeling, looking at the way traffic's flowing now, that it has reopened, but if anybody could call, I'd really appreciate that. An update would be great. Public transport, fine at the moment, but trains and ferries are based for disruption. We were expecting Storm Doris to be bad, but now she's just going to be windy. We might not have a problem at all. More in 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Julie.
Fina Holder.
Call the BBC Radio Solent travel hotline.
0345 30 40 961.
So this morning, thank you for all your lovely messages. Jill in Marchwood, I've got the emails up on stage here so I can read them direct. Thank you. This is one just come in the last few minutes. She says, congratulations on your 20 years from someone who's been listening for nearly 15 of those years when I moved down here and tuned in for the travel news. There you are, Judy. Mentioned in dispatches there. And then I was hooked. And that's lovely. There's some lovely things. I can't read half of these out because I'll blush, but it's terrific. She goes to say, obviously I met you and Sam very briefly after queuing to have my solar calendar signed in West Quay. Sam, how long ago was solar calendar then?
About 2005.
Really? So is that the calendar with me with, it would have been Toby in front of Sway Tower?
Yes,
yeah,
that's right.
Well, look, Jill, thank you. She says, thanks very much, Julian. Have fun this morning. May it boost you for the next 20 years. Jill? Yeah! You can email Julian Clegg at bbc.co.uk. You can text Solent to 81333. I can see those on the little screen here as well this morning. So do get in touch. More to come as the show goes on. 7:21.
The home of live sport.
BBC Radio Solent.
So the sport, Kev's here, and it's all about Southampton defender Jack Stevens.
That's right, Julian. Yes, he's told us that he'll do his best to fill the boots of Virgil van Dijk and Jose Font. Now, Saints sold Captain Font last month, and the club announced a long injury absence for Virgil van Dijk yesterday. Now, Stevens has a chance now to play at Wembley in the League Cup final and get a run in the team, after Saints failed to land a centre-half in the transfer window this week. And Stevens knows he has to prove himself with fans frustrated over that.
The fans want to see people coming through the door, but as a young defender, it's nice to see that we didn't sign a defender, but that's not to say that we won't. But it's not for me to worry about. I've just got to keep working hard, and if I stay in the team, then I've just got to make sure that I play well and keep the pace in the team.
Well, Saints face West Ham at home tomorrow in the Premier League, with ironically Jose Font returning to the club just weeks after leaving. Well, Bournemouth are aiming to improve on a run of just one win in 7 Premier League games tomorrow afternoon. The Cherries visit an informed Everton side who sits 7th in the table. Now, the new Portsmouth striker Owen Doyle is set for his debut tomorrow at Wycombe in League 2. The 28-year-old joined on loan from Preston earlier this week, despite numerous League 1 clubs competing for his signature. Well, Doyle says he was desperate to join Pompey and is looking forward to playing for manager Paul Cook for a 3rd time.
We've good times in Ireland together, we won a lot of cups and stuff, and done well in the league, and then obviously at Chesterfield as well, so I knew it was keen for me to come down, and obviously the size of the club, the passionate supporters, was something we just jumped at.
Well, there's no game for Eastleigh this weekend, and certainly no game for their former defender, Bonson Gala. The 27-year-old thought he'd joined League 1 Gillingham on Thursday after leaving the Spitfires. Now, rules state a player cannot feature for more than 2 sides in one season, and Ngala had played for Barnet before joining Eastleigh back in November. Tomorrow's sports show then from 2 o'clock with me has live commentary on Saints, Cherries and Pompey. We're also live at 3 non-league games, including Paul Town's trip to National South leaders Maidenhead. Rugby Union's Six Nations Championship gets underway this weekend, with England strong favourites with the bookies to lift the title. They begin at home to France with a 4:50 kick-off tomorrow afternoon. Before that, Scotland take on Ireland. On Sunday, Italy host Wales. That match kicks off at 2 o'clock. England's netballers, including Bournemouth's Jiva Menta, lost 61-37 to New Zealand in the second match of the Quad Series. Now, the Rosies, who beat South Africa in Durban last week, play Australia at the SSE Arena in Wembley on Sunday. And finally, the Havant Borough Sports Awards took place last night. Julian, I know you know these well. Our own colleague Andy Moon was Andy Moon, who does this slot a few times, was comparing, and he passed this message on especially for me to read out. He says the overall winner last night was, and the senior volunteer of the year, was Havant Waterlooville assistant manager Sean Gale, who was saluted for the work he does for the Hawks community programme.
I think we should give Sean a round of applause. What's a funny moment in the sport there where Ebony took a picture of Kev and he put his hand out as if to say, no paparazzi please, I'm trying to read the sport, it was very funny.
I might have been trying to put it off.
I normally charge for that sort of thing.
I thought you might do. Kevin James with the sport, give him a round of applause. Lots of lovely emails. This is Annie Hicks from Highfields email. She says, hi Julian, congratulations on your 20th anniversary of presenting the BBC Radio Sun Breakfast Show. I had a ticket for the Mayflower, but unfortunately I can't be there. I've been signed off work for a month. I am gutted because I wanted to meet you in person and see the rest of the team and see how everything is done. Never mind, I shall be listening at home. Lots of love. Let's give Annie a good luck. Headphones caught there around the chair. There we are. That's a live show. Let's move around to the front of the stage here. I can see you now. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Lovely to have you there. And we've got a choir on stage as well. This morning, live music, and I want you to meet the funky little choir. They're based in Christchurch and have been together for more than 10 years. They perform every year at Camp Festival at Lulworth Castle, have various accolades to the name, including the Bournemouth Choir of the Year. On the telly, they performed as part of Gareth Malone's Choir Best in Britain and came second in their region. Hello, Sandy! Well, you look lovely in yellow.
Well, thank you. I'm bright, cheery.
So, look, well done, and thank you for being here today.
Pleasure.
What was your reaction when they said, will you come and sing at 7 in the morning on stage?
Very excited, but we were a bit wary. It's very early to sing, but yeah. No,
well, you had to be here by sort of 6 in the morning.
Yeah, we left at 5 this morning, so yeah, we're all looking forward, right?
Good morning! And I'm very excited, Sandy, because the secret sound today, when I heard about this, made me chuckle. You're doing the secret sound.
Yes, we are. We're very excited about that.
Now, they were singing the song earlier, so I can't say what it was, and they had a little clip for the secret sound, and Chris, the producer, was going, make it shorter, so if anyone gets it, it'll be a miracle.
2 words.
Yeah, it's 2 words. That's coming up after 8 o'clock this morning. So what are we going to hear this time around?
We're going to be doing Black Horse and the Cherry Tree by Katie Tunstall with Nikki Sonos.
Oh, hi Nikki, the Sonos, how are you?
Hello, a bit nervous.
No, don't be nervous, it's only me. There's no one else here. That's good. We're going to be fine. So this is good. Katie Tunstall song, 7:27. We've got the travel on the way and the news and the weather coming up, but some live music therefore on stage. Give it up for, here they are, the Funky Little Choir.
My heart knows you better than I know myself, so I'm gonna let it do all the talk. I came across a place in the middle of nowhere with a big black horse and a cherry tree. I felt a little fear upon my back. I said, don't look back, just keep on walking. And the big black horse said, look this way. He said, hey little lady, will you marry me? I said, no. Well, my heart hit a problem in the early hours, so I stopped it dead. And I cut some cord and I shouldn't have done it, and it won't forgive me after all these years. So I sent it to a place in the middle of nowhere with a big black horse. And it won't come back, and it's so happy, and now we've got a hole for the world to see. I said no. Okay, traffic and travel, we've got the news on the way with Emily and Sam. How's the weather? But first, how are we doing out on the roads? Here she is, Julie Gibbett.
Well, Friday morning, and of course most of our roads are quiet, but we do have a major problem on the M27. If you're heading towards Southampton, there is an accident at Hedge End Junction 7. There is a 35-minute delay now coming along westbound from Central Road at Junction 9. Not going to clear soon, just one lane closed, but the queue's building quite rapidly. There is, however, some good news. Steve called the travel hotline to say A31 is fully open again. There was an accident closing it between Chorlton and 4 miles, but absolutely fine now. For that update, 15 minutes.
Judy, don't forget the travel hotline. Thanks, Judy. Don't forget the travel hotline, 0345 30 40 961 if you spot a problem we're not reporting. 7:31.
BBC Radio Solar, a very good morning from me, Julian Clegg, on my 20th anniversary presenting the show, and from the audience here at the Mayflower Theatre in Southampton. So many listeners who turned up so early to be here. Fantastic, thank you very much indeed. So, on the way, the news with Emily, the weather with Sam, but first our top stories. Emily, over to you.
Thank you, Julian. Good morning. The Prime Minister is preparing to talk to EU leaders about her recent meeting with President Trump in Washington. She'll attend an informal summit in Malta, where it's thought she'll back up Mr. Trump's call for Europe's NATO members to spend more on defence. Mosques here in the south are fighting against what they call a poisonous atmosphere by opening their places of prayer to non-Muslims this weekend. The Visit My Mosque event comes amid US President Trump's travel ban on 7 mainly Muslim countries. A chronic shortage of doctors in the south is forcing many GPs to keep working past the age of retirement. Figures from the NHS show more than 180 of the south's GPs are still working past the age of 60. The Parliamentary Spending Watchdogs warned the government needs to raise its game over cyber security. The Public Accounts Committee says ministers are struggling to find enough people with the right skills to combat online attacks and are failing to coordinate efforts to tackle the threat. Fans of the Southampton indie band Delays are campaigning to get one of their singles back in the charts. They hope it will help to raise funds towards treatment for lead singer Greg Gilbert, who's been diagnosed with stage 4 bowel cancer. And this was the only story that Sam Fraser was interested in this morning. Pop star Kylie Minogue has reportedly split from her fiancé, British actor Joshua Sass. The Aussie singer, who's 48, met Sass, who's just 29, in 2015 on the set of US series Gallivant, in which he stars, and she was making a guest appearance. But some says Kylie's broken off the engagement because she suspects he's cheated with another actress. Dun, dun, dun. I love a bit of drama.
Emily, thank you very much indeed for that gossip this morning. So, Sam, are you devastated?
Well, if she's finished with them, I won't mind giving it a go.
Can you see the trouble I have, Emily? Emily, thank you for the news. Lovely to hear you. And let's have the latest weather. Now, I thought, Sam, as we thought the audience here, I know we're going to have a weather watcher later with Penny. Shall we just quickly say hello to a couple of people here? I've been told not to knock my head on the lights here, so we'll quickly come down here. Sam's going to do the weather with a little bit of help. So let's say hello to randomly. Hello, what's your name?
Hello, I'm Lorna.
Hi Lorna, where are you from?
I'm from Christchurch.
Thank you for coming. Are you on your own or do you bring someone with you?
I've got a whole choir with me.
Oh, you're for the choir! It's lovely to meet you. Lorna, so let's meet some people who have come today. Hello, good morning.
Oh, morning.
What's your name?
I'm Caroline.
Hi Caroline, lovely to see you. So, Sam's going to do the weather, but I'll let you do the weather word. What was it like outside this morning when you came to the theatre?
Well, it was dry.
It's good.
Yes, that's very good.
No rain, no storm Doris, so there you are, Sam. That's not bad, is it?
Oh, dry is good.
Thank you for this.
Well, my village at the moment is like the lost village of Atlantis, completely underwater. So I'm very pleased for a bright, dry start this morning. As we go through the morning, the wind's going to pick up, and we do have a yellow warning for wind from 11 o'clock this morning till 3 a.m. tomorrow. So expect gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour, but nothing as terrifying as Storm Doris threatened to be. As we get through this afternoon, the cloud will thicken. We might see some outbreaks of rain pushing in later on. Today's top temperature, 9 Celsius, is 48 in Fahrenheit. For this evening and tonight, the blustery rain will continue for a time, some heavy bursts at times, and it'll stay windy with the risk of gales and exposed spots. The rain, though, should clear later in the night with a localised frost falling in some areas. Overnight lows drop to 2 Celsius. On to tomorrow then, and Saturday's off to a dry and bright start with the winds easing. The sunshine becomes hazy through the morning with some thicker cloud and rain possible in places later on in the afternoon, and tomorrow's high 8 Celsius. Looking ahead then from Sunday to Tuesday, and as you were saying, Jules, earlier, frosty, perhaps foggy start for Sunday, but a dry and sunny day to come. And then for Monday, well, turning increasingly cloudy and breezy through the day, with heavy rain and strong winds likely for Tuesday morning. Those should then ease on Tuesday afternoon. Out in waters today, winds are south 5 or 6, backing southeast 6 to gale force 8, then veering southwest gale 8 to storm 10, then backing south 4 or 5 later.
Visibility is moderate or good, occasionally poor, and the sea state moderate or rough. The current pressure here in Southampton is 997 millibars, that's 29.44 inches, and falling slowly. And finally, for the ship spotters, HMS Westminster goes out on its movements at 10 o'clock.
Give her a round of applause, Sam. He's filming the show. Give him a round of applause as well. So, let's say hello to a man who I met a wee while back on this show, one of our Julian's people, and I want to thank all the Julian's people who've been involved in the show over the years, because they are amazing people, and it's a big hello to a man who basically has created a cast of characters inspired by his daughter. His name is Dan White. He's one of our Julian's people. He first came on the show in July 2015. We signed up his story and him to come on air, and Dan is from Fareham. Good morning to Daniel White.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you, Daniel. It's lovely to see you. That's kept me fit. You're right at the back and right at the front.
I saw it. I didn't make you do that. I deliberately particularly see because you run around the entire theatre trying to find.
Now, I have a picture that Dan is a cartoon that Dan has done of me in my kitchen, because you've created these cartoon characters inspired by Emily,
yes.
And you did one of me, which I'm very proud of, which is of me in a yellow leotard. It's just as well it's only in my kitchen. Tell us a bit more about the Department of Ability and how the stories go.
The Department of Ability are 5 superheroes, each with a visible disability. We're trying to actively promote disability inclusion right across the media, because it's just one of those things. It's 2017 and it still hasn't happened, and we've got yet another generation of children who are growing up without seeing anything relevant in any media that they utterly consume. So yes, these 5 superheroes are going to be published in a book finally this year.
That's
a
happening.
mainstream publisher.
That's
yes,
great.
Yes.
So that's since I last saw you. So
yes.
how's it gone? How do you make that happen?
By having an agent. Oh, the joys of having an agent. It just takes so much stress off your shoulders. It really, really does. You can actually get free meals by saying, "Oh, I've got an agent," and things like that. So it does work wonders having an agent.
That's why I haven't gone.
Yes,
I'm doing the wrong thing. That's great. And the characters, that's the great thing about this. It will encourage youngsters to see, wheelchair users and other disabilities as being something to celebrate.
Yes, exactly.
So take me through the characters in the book.
Okay, we have Emily, based on, not Emily Hudson, sadly, but Emily, my daughter. Yeah, she has a flying wheelchair. And then you have Pawsey the cheetah with a running blade. You have Azzy, which is short for Azazat, was too many Z's to spell, who has a prosthetic arm. You have Billy the dog with his robot tail and wheels. And you have Claypole, the partially resurrected blind ghost. So they're a very, very diverse mix of characters who are coming to save the world, but it's the best job to have, and it's just wonderful to be involved in a day like this. So I just thank you very much for all of you.
Yeah, that's all right. And Emily, your daughter has spina bifida,
yes,
and is a wheelchair user.
Yes.
What does she make of all of this, and how your life, and probably the family's life, has changed over the last 18 months?
It has changed a lot. I mean, we've recently done a lot of work with Scope, so we've been up in London filming a few pieces, and Emily's just really come to the fore. From the first few interviews where she was quite cagey, so now she's really out there and virtually on the cusp of demanding a rider, no blue Smarties, sparkling mineral water, WD-40 for wheels, things like that. So we're on the cusp of it. But yeah, I feel momentum is gaining, and once we're out there, I think things and walls will come down. Yeah. Everything will change.
And I know it's not just a book in your site, but you'd love to see a cartoon series on the telly, wouldn't you? Something like that.
Yes, we have already had a few interim offers on the table, waiting on the signature of the publishing deal to proactively start these sort of things. So there's plenty of stuff in the ether. We just need to get the book out there, and I need to finish work at a sensible hour in the evening. Yes.
Now, Daniel, thank you for coming today, because it's my 20th anniversary of the show, and one of the features that I brought to the show was Julian's People, which it's nothing to do with having my name on it. It was meant to follow people's stories. So, like today, we found out what happened since you were last on, and I'm passionate about that. So we don't just have people on and go, right, thanks for coming on, goodbye. We actually find out what happened. Tell me and the audience why we should have a feature like that.
It's absolutely essential, because people always get their 5 minutes of fame. People out there, there's probably many people who young today about fantastic stories they want to share with people. And from my point of view, it's been essential, because you see that one news story and then you think, well, what happened next? What happened after that? Where did they go? I mean, a lot of people have great ideas and they never get the audience to share it with, they never get anyone to help that seed grow into something bigger. And with Julian's people, you're so kind and everyone's so lovely, I mean, even including Sam. They're so lovely. You come back on regularly, make some things, and that leads on to other things. I mean, like I said, this is being on here has helped me reach out. I've been to Dubai, we're off to New York next month. We're on a Comic-Con panel out there discussing diversity and things like that. We're working with Scope. We just did we filmed a workshop with some fantastic children up at the Cartoon Museum. So I was like in heaven at the Cartoon Museum. So yes, it's absolutely essential. I mean, I would recommend it to anyone because you get to be on stage.
Yeah, it's great. And let's just bring in the rest of the team with some thoughts on this. You mentioned Sam there. So, I mean, Sam, over the years, you've met a lot of Julian's people coming into the studio and put them on the phone for me in our tech player as well.
Yes, well, I can remember Dan's first show with us, and Emily came into the studio. And I have to say, I think, Dan, following what you've been doing, because I follow you on Twitter, and I'm so thrilled and proud for you.
Thank you.
Because I think what you're doing is extraordinary. And to see, you just one interview at 7:25 or something, one morning, or it might have even been that awful when we used to do Julian's people really early.
27. Early is always early.
But just to watch your story from a distance and to think that we even had the privilege of being part of your story.
Well, from my point of view, you actually kick-started the story because just the prowess of being a Julian's person just linked onto other things. So it's been absolutely essential. I'm just very grateful, and I love coming back on. It's just a shame Emily couldn't come back on, but she's had Monday signed off at the Cartoon Museum. So unfortunately, she's got to get. I know she's got to get an education, which is disgusting. I don't agree with it. Yes.
Now, someone who's been organising Julian's people for me over the last few years is Judy Goodlick, who's also alongside me. I mean, Judy, you talk to these people. I know you're organising new ones. In fact, only for next week and the week after.
Yes, I started with somebody by saying, "Would you like to be a Julian?" And they did right back and say, "What?" So I'm slightly jealous of Sam. Well, I'm very jealous of Sam, really, because when she was doing the show, she got to meet the Julian's people. And everybody says, "It would be lovely to see you." And I have to say, "I sit in a cupboard in Winchester. I'm really sorry, but you will meet Julian."
But we have been inspired by them, haven't we?
They are extraordinary, and I particularly, because we talk to a lot of people raising funds for
yes,
charity.
Indeed.
And the wonderful Les Hayhoe came in this week. £12 million he's raised over time.
Wow.
And I always feel there's a kind of mystery to fundraising, because people will say, "I'm taking 6 weeks off work, I'm going to do this extraordinary thing, maybe 51 marathons, and I hope to raise 250,000. And it's very difficult for them to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas I love Les' answer when you said, "How do you do it?" You say, "Let them have fun, and the money comes."
You think putting the fun in fundraising, which I thought was a really good thing to say.
It was really interesting.
Yeah.
But people are inspirational, and people of all ages.
Yes, we've been inspired over the years. Emily, some thoughts from you on our Julian's people? Because they also make the news, don't they? Let's be frank, they've sailed around the world, they've climbed Everest, all sorts of things.
Well, quite often we do end up following them through some quite big things, don't we? And so, but I mean, I think the thing I like about Julian's people is that so often with news stories, it is a bit glum, and so often, you hear that the sad things happen to them, and actually, quite often, particularly in Dan's story, it could have started with quite a sad beginning, couldn't it? And actually, wow, look at what's happened and what you've come up with, and it's just, I like to hear we call it the story arc, which is where it kind of goes like that and has an ending that's, and a happy ending. I like it, and it's always just before my headlines, so I do get to hear quite a lot of it.
Yeah, and Kev, a lot of our Julian's people have had sporting links over the years. They sailed Decafari, sailing across the Atlantic.
Was it sailing a long way against the winds and tide or something?
All sorts of
some amazing feats, which I think we all get inspired by.
Yeah, it's really good. So, Dan, finally back to you. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you.
But we're going to see you again because you're a Julian's person. So, what's going to happen between now and the next appearance, do you think?
Like I said, it's the chaos of trying to organise connecting flights to Syracuse in New York, and then back to do more work with Scope, a few more bits of filming, then publishing, and then and then the world will open up, and hopefully I can come back on and keep activating. But I'd just like to say a quick hello to Mum. Mum's at home listening, and she absolutely loves you, Emily, by the way. Mum. Oh, I love listening to Emily Hudson in the morning. I've been listening to Judy for 21 years. Mum's only been on 20. But yes, that's your biggest at-home fan today.
Sis. Sis, good morning, Sis. Give Sis and Dan a round of applause, please. Another cartoon which says to Julian and the team, we're nearly there and it's thanks to you from Dan. Isn't that great? To Kate. BBC Radio 7, good morning from me, Julian Clegg, live from the Mayflower this morning.